Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Jane's Fighters Anthology as we continue with the not the single mission, the quick mission showcases. Let's see what all our environments here. Okay, I thought there were two different maps for some reason. But today we'll be doing another one that really should have been in the Vietnam showcase. And, you know, we're just going down the list here. But that's the A-37 Dragonfly, which is a light attack aircraft that was used during the Vietnam War. As such, we'll make this a simple mission. 10,000 feet, cloudy skies, custom weapons load, no air opposition, and we'll just have a Viet Cong convoy, lightly defended by AAA. So hopefully this time we don't get Tunguska's fucking murdering us. And there is a bit of an inconsistency here. The real Dragonfly was armed only with a 7.62mm machine gun in the nose. For the game, though, they gave it a Vulcan cannon. And its armament mainly would have been the lighter cluster bombs. Lighter bombs, 500 pounds and under, generally. So that's pretty much what we're going to stick with here. Is that a wet hard point? No, it is not. Oh, that's Russian cluster bombs. My bad. Okay, we can fit one big one, but you can see here, from a weight standpoint, we're pretty poor off. So we actually have to dump a lot of fuel, apparently. And we just, okay, there we go. We can dump most of our cannon rounds to just barely get us up to our weight limit. I really wish there were 250-pound bombs, because that's really all I need, but with that, let's get started. So once again, the A7 cockpit, they do give us a radar for convenience.
Contact vehicle, your 1 o'clock flow, 2 miles. Please advise.
So again,
5 miles. Attack vehicle.
We're going in the
4 miles.
Basically
Bombs away.
running the scenario that we're interdicting a Viet Cong convoy.
4 miles. 1 o'clock.
No self-defense jammers, as you can see. Oh,
3 miles.
nice. The wingman hit the AAA. Alright, let's see if we can hit these guys with cluster bomb.
1 mile.
Alright.
Bombs away.
Oh, there's some of that lighter AA. Woo! Alright. As you can really, they still have Tunguska's.
Got him.
Alright, well, fuck you too. There we go. 99% damage, that's survivable. Man, this game, and so note to self, if I have to do any more of these, it's gonna be with zero AA, and hope that just the natural AA kind of just takes care of it. Oh, there's still so much to do as far as hitting these guys too.
Bombs away. Bombs away.
Oh, we do have 2 more cluster bombs, so actually I should have used those. Whoops. Oh, our bombs fell short. That's what I get for low altitude, low drag bombs. That's fine though. As you can see, we have a side-by-side tandem seating. probably like a sensor officer, WSO. Just trying to be really gentle on the airframe here because of, you know, being almost dead and all. Alright. And boom. Okay, that had a bigger area of effect than I had given it credit for. Alright, so we did take that one out. So this is the last cluster here that's in our mission objective. And I think we should still have one more bomb after that. Alright, let's dive in, push over, and boop. Oh, we have 2 rounds. Okay, so fuck us then.
Beautiful.
Alright.
Accomplished. Attack disengaged. Contact vehicle. Your 8 o'clock flow. 3 miles. Please advise.
Okay, so now we're just gonna go into fuel economy mode. Let's hit the deck. Wingman can form up on us, and yeah, this seems like a good course. We'll expend the rest of our ammunition there. And we're just gonna head out to sea. Alright, and let's see how much fuel we have. Oh, we do have external tanks. I don't remember bringing them along.
You're 7 o'clock, 2 miles. Please advise.
But, I guess we have it. So, now into a little bit of the history of the A-37 Dragonfly. Now, this design was actually, it was actually modified from a trainer aircraft, the T-37, made by Cessna. And that was a T-37 Tweet, which was the Air Force's basic trainer in the 60s and 70s. And the A-37 was introduced around Vietnam and remained in service afterwards for a little while at least. Now, the first flight was in October of 1964. Growing American military involvement in Vietnam in the early 1960s led to a strong interest in coin aircraft counterinsurgency, much like the process that brought the Air Force in modern times to look at getting the, what is it, the Super Tucano or whatever that aircraft is, just like a light attack aircraft that's supposed to be cheap and have, you know, a lot of endurance to stay on station and just basically be a cheap armored bomb truck, as opposed to a higher end close air support aircraft like the A-10.
You're 6 o'clock, 8 miles.
So in late 1962, the U.S. Air Force's Special Air Warfare Center at Eglin Air Force Base's Hurlburt Field in Florida evaluated 2 T-37Cs for the role. And they found it promising, but they wanted an improved version of the aircraft that could carry a much larger payload and a greater endurance and better short field performance, which meant heavier aircraft with more powerful engines. So, shut up, wingman, my god. Was it Control S? No, Alt S? Radio silence, there we go. And we're gonna switch course here a little bit, because there's some hills there, as you can see. And we don't want to be running into those. So, the Air Force awarded the contract to Cessna for 2 prototype YAT-37D aircraft, and these modifications included stronger wings, 3 stores pylon on each wing, larger wingtip fuel tanks. Oh, that must be what they're counting as the external fuel tanks. So, yeah, old fighter jets had external fuel tanks attached to the wingtips. I don't know what the rationale of that was, but combined they had, or I think they had a capacity of 95 gallons each. And in the nose, like I mentioned earlier, it had a General Electric GAU 2B/A 7.62mm Gatling style gun with 1,500 rounds of ammunition. Better avionics for battlefield communications, navigation, and targeting, as well as tougher landing gear for rough field operation. So this drastically increased the weight And as a response to this, Cessna doubled the engine power by replacing the two Continental J69 engines with General Electric J85 J2/5 engines that had 11 kilonewtons of thrust each. And like I mentioned, the first prototype flew in October 1964, followed by the second type. The second prototype had 4 stores pylons under each wing rather than 3, and eventually the prototype was updated to that configuration as well. And the results were good, but the Air Force, with its short attention span, lost interest in it, so it kind of went into limbo, and they even put one of the prototypes out to a museum. But then Vietnam continued to escalate, and with losses of the Douglas A-1 Skyraider arising, the Air Force had a renewed interest in coin aircraft, so they went back to Cessna and said, hey, can you work on that prototype some more? And so they ordered a small batch based off of that prototype with a few minor changes. And they were originally designated AT-37D, but that was changed to A-37A. And the second prototype that they had put in the museum was even pulled out and upgraded to the A-37A standard, as the Air Force wanted to see how they perform in combat. So they had a gross takeoff weight of 12,000 pounds, of which 2,700 pounds was ordnance, and it retained the dual controls of its ancestors, so it could still be used as a trainer as well. But in combat operations, the second seat was occupied by an observer for forward air control operations. So that way they could, basically spot for the pilot or call in artillery and spot for it, that kind of stuff. So in August of 1967, 25 A-37As were sent to Vietnam under the Combat Dragon evaluation program, and they flew from Bien Hoa Air Base on USAF Air Commando missions, which included close air support, helicopter escort, forward air controller, and night interdiction. And again, like I mentioned, combat loads were high explosive bombs, cluster munitions, unguided rockets, napalm tanks, and minigun pods. Is that just our engine noise kicking in? Yeah. That, or there's some hidden AA below us. And for most missions, the aircraft also carried 2 additional external fuel tanks on the inner stores pylons. And they flew thousands of sorties, and none were lost in enemy fire, though 2 were wrecked in landing accidents. And it was formerly named the Dragonfly, but most pilots still continued to call it the original name of Super Tweet. Oh shit. Could you not, please? Aw. Damn them and their invisible AA. Alright. Well, that was kind of... I was so sure there wouldn't be any AA out this way, but yeah, you can see they, the Vietnamese get, invisible AA to simulate them hiding in the brush or the forest or the rice fields or whatever. They're there, they're just invisible. So I think if you were to carpet bomb the area, you'd take them out, but obviously we can't visually see them. Oh, they shouldn't be here. This is a frickin' green flatland. Alright, that's fine. I would be more concerned if there was actually a place for us to return to, but oddly enough, the Kitty Hawk isn't on this map as far as I can tell. I thought it was like a permanent part of it, but I guess not. So just to finish off here, most of the complaints were that the aircraft lacked range and endurance. Other controls was heavy control response during attack runs because they weren't boosted with hydraulics, and the vulnerability of the aircraft's non-redundant flight control system. So the Air Force worked with Cessna to develop an improved Super Tweet, the A-37B, with an initial order for 57 that was increased to 127, and these were intended to primarily be supplied to the Republic of Vietnam Air Force as replacements for their Skyraiders. The prototype was rolled out in September 1967, with deliveries to South Vietnam beginning in 1968. And the 37Bs were all newly built airframes. These were stronger than those of the A-37A, capable of pulling an extra G, 6 instead of 5, and were built to have a longer fatigue life of 4,000 hours. and field experience would show that they actually could manage 7,000 hours between overhauls. And the A-37B weighed almost twice as much as the original T-37C. And a remarkable fraction of the loaded weight, 5,800 pounds, could be external stores. But in practice, the A-37B usually operated with 2 to 4 underwing fuel tanks to improve combat endurance. And in order to cope with the yet again increased weight, the engines were again swapped out for J85GE17A engines, providing 12.7 kilonewtons of thrust, and they were canted slightly outward and downward to improve single-engine handling. And pilots in Vietnam operating the A-37A actually found single-engine cruise as an effective means of improving their flight endurance. And modifications were made to control surfaces to improve handling, so it finally got some redundant flight controls, armored ejection seats, armored cockpit, self-sealing fuel tanks. And the A-37 ended up excelling at the close air support role. It could engage targets at speeds 100 miles per hour slower than swept-wing fighters, and the slower speed improved bombing accuracy. So with their unguided bombs, they could typically achieve an accuracy of 45 feet, which for the day was pretty good. A-37B also had a refueling probe to the nose for probe and drogue aerial refueling kit. Other improvements include more updated avionics, a redesigned instrument panel, automatic engine inlet de-icing system, and revised landing gear. And it was also, and this is true for all of them, they weren't pressurized, so they had to wear flight suits and have their own oxygen, or just, not fly too high. And the A-37 required very low level amount of maintenance for contemporary fighters, only 2 hours of maintenance for each hour of flight time. So that's another reason why these cheaper aircraft are favored, because they're cheaper to run. And 20mm and 30mm cannon pods were tested, but they were never used in operation. So a total of 577 of the A-37Bs were built, with about half delivered to the South Vietnamese Air Force. And by the end of the war, they had flown over 160,000 combat stories with only 22 Air Force losses. So when the North Vietnamese eventually captured the South, they captured the A-37s as well. So they were adopted into the Vietnam People's Air Force after that. And they were actually used over Cambodia and against China during the Sino-Vietnamese conflict in 1979. They were quickly retired, though, afterwards because of, obviously, a lack of spare parts. So they were shipped to Vietnam's allies at the time, like Czechoslovakia, Poland, the Soviet Union, and East Germany, who actually had the industry to reverse engineer some of those parts. And others were sold to private owners. And the U.S. Air Force A-37s that were passed on, well, actually, they stayed in service for a little longer. They stayed with the National Guard and the Air Force Reserve, and they were assigned forward air control duties and given the designation OA-37B, and these were eventually replaced by the A-10 and OA-10 Thunderbolt in service. And one of the last operations under Air Force service was service during Operation Just Cause in Panama. I think that was Panama. Or is that Grenada? I gotta look it up. Yep, that was Panama. Now, Salvador was one of the other primary operators of the type that saw extensive service, seeing extensive use during the Salvadorian Civil War. These were supplied by the United States in 1983 as a replacement for their Dassault Ouragans, which a bunch had been destroyed on the ground by the Farabundo Mati National Liberation Front. And they were often used to bomb rebel bases, columns, towns, providing close air support in interdiction missions. The U.S. supplied 21 A-37Bs and 9 OA-37Bs during the war, one of which was lost when a sniper rifle actually killed the co-pilot, which freaked the pilot out and made him eject. And they lost another one that was shot down by an SA-7. Only 9 remained operational by the end of the war because of cannibalization for spare parts and such. And the A-37 also proved to be pretty popular with Latin American countries because it was, it's simple, low cost, it's rugged, it's cheap. So Guatemala had them, Peru had them, and Peru actually used them in an air defense role, kind of, to pursue aircraft that they believed to be smuggling drugs. In one case, a civilian as a result, a civilian Cessna A-185E was shot down because they thought it was carrying drugs, and it turns out it was a U.S. missionary and her daughter. So that's pretty much it. Currently, it's operated. 7 are operated by Colombia. They have been modified to carry Paveway 2 laser-guided bombs. El Salvador still has 15 on the books. Guatemala has 1. Honduras has 9. Peru has 24. And Uruguay has 12. Other countries that operate it include Chile, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, South Korea, Thailand, United States, South Vietnam, and Vietnam, which some of those were mentioned previously. So, basic stats: crew of 2. Fuel capacity internal was 507 US gallons. Maximum speed was 507 miles per hour. Cruise speed of 489 miles per hour. So pretty comparable to like a World War II prop aircraft. Combat range was 460 miles with maximum payload. Ferry range was 1,012 miles with 4 drop tanks. Service ceiling of 41,765 feet. And again, it had the minigun in the nose, provision for gun pods under the wings, and a total of 8 hard points with a capacity of 860 pounds on the inner 4 hard points. The 2 intermediate hard points had 600 pound capacities, and the 2 outer hard points had 500 pound capacity. And it could carry the LAU 3/A rocket pod, 250 pound bombs, 500 pound bombs, or 750 pound bombs. BLU 32B or BLU 1C/B firebombs, and of course cluster bombs like we demonstrated in here, like the CBU 12, 22, or 24. So with that, we successfully completed the mission. We bombed all the targets. Our wingman has no damage. We took stupid damage because they had the Tunguska, and they should have been using the ZSU 57-2, if anything. We destroyed 15 trucks and 2 AAAs. Our wingman had 2 AAAs. I thought he had a truck, but I guess not. We hit with only 10 of our 30 rounds, apparently. Our bombs had a 71% hit rate. Our wingman had 100%. And then 22% of all the AAA fired at us hit. So that is the A-37B. So that concludes for this week. So with that, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.